This is exactly how I manifested my boyfriend back in 7 days. Now, disclaimer, that's how long it took me. If you do exactly what I did, does not mean that it's necessarily going to take you 7 days. Maybe it'll take you 2 days. Maybe it'll take you 17 days. Maybe it'll take you 2 months. I can't tell you that. I can't tell you how long it's going to take. What I can tell you is that it's inevitable that it's going to happen. The odds, so to speak, were against me. Everything I experienced during manifesting him back was negative. Either I didn't see anything or what I saw was negative or experienced was negative. So, what I want you to take from what I'm about to tell you from my story is to persist. I can't, like, I want to invent a new word because I can't keep saying persist because I know y'all are sick of it and I'm sick of it too. But you have to persist. If you take anything from any success story, don't take how long it took. Don't take how many affirmations they used or how many techniques they did. Take, they persisted. That is the one thing that every single success story has in common. That's the common denominator, manifestation wise or outside of the manifestation community. It takes consistency and persistence. And it can take you a couple of days and it can take you a couple of months, but it's okay. It is okay. I know you're impatient. I was too. But one thing I didn't focus on was the time. And that I can promise you. Now, obviously, I'm not going to get into the specifics of why we broke up and into those personal details, but I'm going to tell you what I did. So, obviously, I affirmed robotically. I affirmed basically 24/7. Like whenever I thought about him, about our situation, I affirmed. And unfortunately, that was 24/7. So it was not like, oh, just when I think about him, I'm going to affirm, which I do tell, all my clients and, to my viewers. You don't have to affirm 24/7. You just should affirm whenever you think about your desire. Because if you're already thinking about it, then you might as well think in your favor, right? Affirmations are just thoughts anyway, so they're not a technique. I remember I did a list of affirmations that I wanted to say. Why I did a list is not because you have to do a list, it's because I was so overwhelmed with my intrusive thoughts, with my opposing thoughts, with the situation in the 3D, with what happened, that I couldn't you know, get my mind straight to think just the affirmations, because whenever I started affirming for what I want, I had like 10,000 intrusive opposing thoughts, you know, overpowering my affirmations. And I couldn't, concentrate on forming those affirmations and stating them or thinking them along with battling the intrusive ones. So I did a list so I could read the affirmations, so I don't have to really focus on them, but just read them. And the more I read them, the more I learned them by heart. And once I did the list, I recorded them. I recorded all of my affirmations, how I say them, like in a really soothing, gentle tone so that I could listen to them when I fall asleep. I could listen to them when I wanted to meditate, if I wanted to meditate, or whenever, wherever. If I was doing anything around the house where I don't need to like really pay attention, I will listen to them. And the crazy thing is that at that time, I was dealing with not just the breakup, but I was dealing with like other things too, now that I think about it. And it's like I just remembered that. And it's crazy because I was so severely stressed in that period at that time. Like it makes so much sense that, my emotions, my nervous system was like wrecked at the time because I was an emotional wreck. I was mentally a wreck. So, I cried every single day. And when I say every single day, it's not just, once a day. I cried sobbing. My head was pounding because of how much I cried. So I got headaches of how much I cried. Like I was a mess, guys. But I persisted through those emotions, through those feelings. I knew how to utilize them. Every time I woke up, I would take the list of affirmations from beneath my pillow and I would read them. I would read them as if they were the prediction of the day ahead of me. Sometimes I would just glance through them, because as much as those affirmations were comforting, what I wanted to experience, that's how much they also reminded me that it's not like that. And that was a huge trigger for me. So it was really conflicting as to how I should approach this, but I knew what I had to do because I knew how I felt didn't really matter in terms of manifestation, in terms of getting him back, manifesting him back. You know, like I always say, your feelings are valid, right? But in terms of manifesting your desires, your feelings don't matter. You can feel the worst and you will still manifest what you want. Exhibit A. I was feeling horrible throughout the whole 7 days, but I persisted through because I knew what I felt is not going to interfere with the results. It's going to interfere if I let it interfere with my thoughts. That's the only thing that can mess it up for you is your thoughts. If you choose to entertain intrusive thoughts. That's what I would do when I, got out of bed. I would stick to like maybe one or two affirmations that I would just loop so robotically, like, we're together, we're gonna be together. He's gonna message me today. He's gonna message me today. We're so happy in love. We're so happy in love. We're so happy in love. Like with one another. I always emphasize with one another. Because I'm very like specific like that. And then I would script. I would start scripting like affirmations, one or two affirmations. And then as I would write those affirmations started becoming sentences. And those sentences started forming like a diary entry basically, so I was like writing in my diary. And at that time, like that was right before Christmas. So I was affirming and scripting that, we're going to spend Christmas together. I was not stuck on Christmas. I was just stuck on us being together. That Christmas was just like a little bonus to make it feel real for me, and not that it needs to feel real. But if you say things or script things or imagine, visualize things that help it feel real for you, it just helps with, you not feeling that much resistance towards that desire. It's not the result of, oh, it's going to manifest only if it feels real. No, it doesn't have to feel real. Anything that is the complete opposite of what you're experiencing right now is probably not going to feel real. That's why we saturate. That's why we saturate with outcomes that we do want, because they challenge the current 3D, they challenge the current circumstances. Eventually, we start believing them either through saturation. You saturate it so much that, you just eventually start believing it. It becomes almost neutral to you, or you experience it. It manifested. So obviously, it's a part of your reality now. What I also did was I formed a contract. Like I did a contract between me and Divine Source, God. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of that contract and what I wrote and everything. Like I did share it with my course members, like when we do our live sessions, I talked about it. And it was so interesting that one member even asked me, so like, was that a contract between you and God? Or was that a contract between you and yourself, like your higher self and stuff like that? And that like boggled my mind, that blew my mind away. I'm like, that's such a good question. But I do see God, divine source, as, almighty um, source. So I did see that contract as some sort of agreement with divine source to help me, so to speak. But not help me as in divine source will do it for me, but in help me stay on track. Next thing, phone call method. The phone call method is something that I did religiously several times a day. And I'm talking like I have a dog, so anytime I would go out, take him for a walk, I would, be on the call with my SP. And I would talk, sometimes I would talk about regular things like when we were together, just random, regular, normal things. And then I would like hang up the phone. Then I would start feeling anxious, and then I would call him back and I would start saying things to him that I want him to reflect back to me, or that I want him to realize. So like, I love you, you love me, we belong together, we're soulmates, da 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 da. Like anytime I would transmit my thoughts to him, either with, a phone call or just affirming or by any means of connecting to him energetically, I would speak to him in a way that I just knew he felt me. He felt my energy. He felt my presence. He felt my emotions. He felt my love. And I gave my all to make sure that I knew he felt it. And even when it seemed like he didn't feel it, I still persisted in the fact that he did. Now, did I see movement in those 7 days? No. The only movement I saw was bad, I guess. Um, on the third or fourth day, I kind of slipped. I went like on a little walk and I texted him and he obviously didn't reply back. So I called him again and again and again and I kept calling him, dumbass. And eventually he picked up the phone and said to stop calling him, stop contacting him. He doesn't want anything to do with me. He's not, you know, he's done. He's done with me. And that's it. And I should make my peace with it and move on. When I tell you, it broke me. It devastated me. It destroyed me. I remember I was in the woods. I was in the forest because I was walking towards the beach, and I just like not I fell onto the ground, not in the sense of like I fell, but like there was like a huge log, and I just sat on that log and just cried my eyes out. Um, not believing what's happening. Like it's you, it's me. Like how could you not want to, be with me? It's me. So then obviously I put my phone on airplane mode and talked to him again and, you know, had the conversation with him that I actually wanted to have. And several days go by. I still do everything, affirm, script, listen to my subliminals, my affirmations, visualize, like I did everything. Everything. Was I desperate? Yes, I was so desperate. I was so obsessed with getting him back. And like I said in my previous video, I did not work on my self-concept. The only self-concept work I did was, stating to him, transmitting to him that I am the woman that he loves and I am the only woman for him. So I did not work on my self concept. Not one bit. Should I have worked on my self concept? Yeah, probably. It would have probably been easier on me too. And if I had to do it now all over again, I would work on my self concept because I would want to show myself the love and devotion as well as him. That time, I just showed it to him, neglecting basically my needs. But I was just so obsessed and desperate to get him back in my life that I neglected myself, basically. Now, obviously, that didn't interfere with the results because, like I said, self concept work is not needed. Your desires manifesting depend on your persistence on the desired outcome, on those desires. And mind you, also, I didn't tell anybody, like, nobody knew what was going on. Not even my best friend knew what was going on. I remember, like, only my parents did. And I remember on I don't know, the fifth or sixth day, my best friend asked me to go out and get some coffee. And I'm like, bro, I don't want to go. Like, I just did not feel like mingling with people. But then I thought to myself, like, you know what, just she doesn't deserve for me to blow her off because of this, especially because I knew that the outcome was inevitable, no matter how I was feeling at the moment. So I was like, okay, whatever, let's go. So we were together for like maybe an hour, and she asked me how he was doing, how we were doing, if he, found the apartment for us and whatever, because he was already living in Germany at the time and I was still in Croatia. And I was like, yeah, yeah, all good. Like he found several apartments. Like I told her everything that I wanted to be true, basically, and the poor thing, she had no idea. I mean, obviously I told her later on. But yeah, like I just said what I wanted to be true. 2 days go by, so it's the seventh day, and I'm at the beach and I'm like doing a little visual meditation, whatever. I was done and I took my phone out to call my mom because I wanted to ask her if we need bread. And I go on WhatsApp and I saw that he changed his profile picture on WhatsApp from us together. He had a picture of us together. He changed it to just him playing soccer. And I just remember I shouted out no and started crying automatically. And I immediately grabbed my phone to call him, phone call method. And on the whole 10 minutes walking home, I spoke to him. Now, mind you, me seeing him changing his picture was a slap in the face to me because that meant for me, like he's actually done. Like, oh my God, he's actually done. He's moving on with his life. He doesn't want other girls to see a girl on his profile picture. Like, it's done. So I was broken. I was destroyed. And I come home and my dad's in the hallway, and he's telling me, guess who's on the phone with mom, on FaceTime with mom, on FaceTime with mom. And I'm like, no. And I run into the living room, and my mom goes, oh, here she is. There you go. And it's him. He was on FaceTime with my mom while I was crying on the beach because he changed his profile picture. What? What? Do you know how insane that is? And I'm telling you, 90% of our conversation was identical to what I had with him during the phone calls and energetically connections, transmitting of my thoughts and everything. I never asked what was going on in the background, what made him change his mind or anything. Um, I just knew that 3 days ago or 4 days prior, he said he doesn't want anything to do with me and to move on. And then he was FaceTiming my mom. So what was he doing? What led him to actually call my mom and FaceTime her? Because like they had a great relationship and they still do, obviously, thank God. But like it was weird. Like, why not call me? He didn't call me, he called my mom. So it was I don't know. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience. It was so much proof to me that it works, guys. This is not some woo crap. This is legit. These are principles of reality. This is how reality is created. What you need to take care of and what you need to do is to persist. If you want to experience what you want to experience, you need to persist. There's nothing else that you need to do. You don't need to do everything that I did. You don't need to do everything that somebody else did in the success story that you read. You just need to persist in the outcome that you want to experience. And it doesn't matter what that outcome is. And it doesn't matter if you don't know how it will happen, how it will go about, how the hell it will manifest when the 3D is so jacked right now. It doesn't matter. I experienced no movement and bad movement, and the purge basically happening, not knowing anything what was going on, except for the thing that I wanted to be going on in the background. So I persisted. I stood loyal to what I wanted to experience. I stood loyal beside my desired reality. And, here we are. 2 years later, we're still together, better than ever. Also, what's so funny is when I found my little diary where I scripted, and I found it recently, like a couple months ago, I started crying because everything that I wrote, like that's what I'm living right now. So all of you who message me, but Jay, he said this or he has this or what if this or what if that, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you want and what you persist in. If you know that circumstances don't matter, then stop trying to make your circumstance an exception. Stop trying to make your SP the exception. Stop trying to make you the exception. There's no exception. Understand that. Realize that. So stop trying to go against yourself. Stop going against yourself. Just because you don't know how things will work out doesn't mean they won't. Just like your whole life you have been taught to, expect the worst case scenario or expect the worst, prepare for the best or hope for the best or whatever, uninstall that program. It's does nothing for you. Does nothing for anybody. Oh God, this video is already too long. All right, I'm gonna cut it short now. Only take the dedication and persistence from success stories, not the hows and not the whats. You have one thing in common with other people, and that's to manifest the desire. Background and the timelines, they're different. Okay? So stick to your timeline, stick to your desire, and persist. You got this.